Hello, and welcome to another exciting edition of Movie Battlegrounds. Do not adjust your television set. It is I, the virtuoso Will Cohen, appearing for another hosting match. Yes, they did let me host another match after the Noah and Papa match. Why? Take it up with management. I'm here. But we are here for a big one today. We are here for the match again. The final first round of our summer bracket. We have the number 3 seed John Maher taking on Chris Diaz. Sorry, I am now pulling up notes because I should have done that in the first place. Obviously, be sure to check out all the other matches, as the results will be spoiled by the end of the match. But let's not talk about spoilers. Let's talk about the match itself. Let's introduce our players. First up, with a record of 2 wins, 3 losses, and 1 knockout, we have Chris Movie Diaz.
Hello.
Chris, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Originally was expected to be in the tournament, but last minute thing happened. I would pull in. I here again, John, one of the best players here to have fun, despite some bizarre question. I will say.
Absolutely. Like you said, you are entering the tournament as the third and final replacement player, taking the slot of Caleb Hansen. And how do you feel about your chances tonight?
Slim. I think John is a really good player. He had some really good picks. I had some really good picks too. But it did come to the argument. I hit it fun. I've been on a 2 streak winning streak with my last 2 matches, but I hate to either get my third streak another loss. But Venezuela, I had a better year this year than it did like when I first started out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm going to go ahead and drop you into the back while we introduce the number 3 seed with a record of 2 wins, no defeats, and 1 knockout. It is Calamity, John Maher. John, how are you feeling tonight?
I've been pissed ever since the picks. Just because Caleb's not here, I was really set to face Caleb because he patronized me in the chat. Like I didn't know how to pick things because I was like, let me go set up my computer. He's like, oh no, brother, that's not how it works. Aaron's gonna give us some topics and we're gonna give our answers. Like I never played 2 matches before now, so I was really ready to just feed him like a load of shit. But so he dipped out, delayed this thing 15 times. Then they bring in Chris Diaz, and I'm really glad he's not dipped in amber today like he normally is on his freaking camera, and I can actually understand what he's saying. So those are 2 big positives. I was waiting to hear him like debating me from the bottom of a goddamn well, where I'd have to say what 15,000 times and ruin this. But I'm very happy that the responsibility of being the person to limit the amount of videos Chris Diaz is in falls on me. So let's get to it.
All right. So to summarize everything here, John, you obviously are the number 3 seed. Coming into this tournament, you were viewed as the dark horse of the tournament, as far as the discussion went there.
Yeah, because I'm fucking awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You've already made a big statement coming into this tournament, being the number 3 seed as an absolute rookie. How do you feel how do you feel your opponent's switch? Is that messing with you, or do you feel good?
No, I was gonna stomp the shit out of Caleb. I'm gonna stomp the shit out of Chris. Let's go.
All right. Strong, heated words. And so while everyone's going to, while our 2 contenders are going to stew in those comments here, let's go ahead and review the rules of Movie Battlegrounds. But a Movie Battleground is a best of 5 or first to 3 points wins. Each round of debate is worth 1 point. If one competitor earns the first 3 points in a row, that's a victory by KO. If it's a 2-2 draw at the end of 4 rounds, we go to the tiebreaker blind round. Competitors were given the questions ahead of the match, and we had time to prep their answers. The first The first stage is the 60-second opening. The second stage of a question is the 2-minute expansion rebuttal period. The third stage of a question is the 4-minute open debate discussion. The fourth stage of a question is the 60-second open, 60-second closing. And then 3 judges will be brought on screen, during which they'll give their judgment of who won or lost the round. And we have 3 wonderful judges in the form of Chad and Carrie Webb, as well as Richie Goodacre. And one thing that let's see, John is the favorite, so he chose to go first on questions 2 and 4. So Chris will go first on 1 and 3. Let's go ahead and bring in our competitors. All right. So before we move on to the first round, gentlemen, do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay. So with that, we're going to go into question number 1. So when we talk about franchises, we inevitably talk about sequels, and with Halloween, the new David Gordon Green series coming to an end very soon here, we decided to turn our focus to another famous horror series. So, question number 1 is, what is the best sequel of the Friday the 13th franchise? Let's go ahead and bring in our timer. If this wants to work for me. And of course it doesn't want to work. So let's see if, oh, okay. Aha. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. All right. Okay, so Chris, you're up on question 1. The timer starts when you start talking.
So when it comes to Friday the 13th, a franchise that's been dying within, I'm not the biggest fan of Friday the 13th, it's a fine franchise, but I went with the one that, I went with Revive the franchise. It gave them one of the best crossover ever with another franchise, but we're also dying a little bit based on the last couple of movies. I'm going with Freddy vs. Jason. I think it putting, again, 2 iconic horror characters with Freddy vs. Jason, but not only does that, it kind of made Jason scary again. We've been lacking a lot of his movie. Like, he did walking zombie that come out of nowhere and kill people. I mean, when you see the wave scene where he come out of nowhere and start killing people left and right, from a flaming machete to another person, then you also get a really good mythology with the fact that the police squad's a thing. We cannot say Freddy Krueger's name that, get him more power. That he living on this fear when he doesn't have his power anymore. He had to use Jason to get to the Elm Street, and it great action, some really good humor, and great slow down between the two of them.
Time. All right, so Freddy vs. Jason is on the table. John, the timer starts when you start talking.
When you go around the horror community and you ask anybody that knows horror, and you ask them, what's the best Friday the 13th sequel? Everyone who knows anything is going to tell you Jason Lives Part 6 is the greatest Friday the 13th sequel out there for a multitude of reasons. One, Tom McLaughlin wrote a love letter to slasher movies with Jason Lives. It is where we are introduced to what everybody knows Jason as, the unstoppable zombie Jason. Sure, in the first 4, he was immortal. In 5, he was an imposter. In 6, we get the resurrected unstoppable zombie, who everybody who knows Jason remembers him as that. Wonderful performance by C.J. Graham. And that inspired all the Kane Hodder performances that came after it. Tom McLaughlin did a meta horror movie 10 years before Scream came out. Kevin Williamson said that Friday the 13th Part 6 was one of the inspirations for Scream. This movie, Jason Lives, is a cornerstone of horror. So much is owed to Jason Lives, let alone the great characters, the great story, the great kills, the great action. It's awesome.
Time. All right, so we have Freddy versus Jason versus Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. We're about to jump into the 2-minute expansion. Chris, the time starts when you start talking.
So I did get my hot take off the top here. I think Jason Lives is okay at best. I think it's a movie that kind of goes way too much into self-referential humor, but take away what made Jason scary as hell. There's very a lot of that gore. Some of the gore you see off screen. The character of One Dimensional at time, like the cop, the police officer, daughter is really annoying and very stereotypical father. Like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. He's not right for you. I see Jason not used a lot at time he come out for a group ball, like especially his kill right during the paintball scene. Like there are some really bad stereotype things going on there. With we have women for work first. But I think Friday 13. What I think Freddy vs. Jason does it made Jason relevant again. It made him a scary walking zombie that he is. Like he is like unstoppable. He even get a kill instead of Freddy killing the person, ruining Freddy's plan a little bit. But they also made him what I think would never been done in Friday 13 movie, made him vulnerable. You see the moment when Freddy used water against Jason. You see him at the scale of the kid he was when he drowned that many years ago. You need that fear that he just still that kid inside. Then you get to that awesome showdown at the end between Freddy vs. Jason. We're going from Freddy like dreamlike sequence to Cat Crystal. Like it's so good and so well done. You already the tight characters really well during the final. How did them help out? Does it have stupid lines? Yes. For any Friday Jason movie, there are some stupid lines that doesn't work today. But I think the character are likable. There's some really good laughs. But many care with the features on humor line. I think the idea that they can't say the name Freddy Krueger really down, and they may, and it what lead to like Alien vs Predator, or the other crossover we see down the line. I think it does it better than any of them, and it's scary.
And time. All right. So, Mr. John Maher, your rebuttal, your 2-minute expansion / rebuttal starts when you start talking.
Freddy vs. Jason was one of the largest insults to the Friday the 13th franchise. Let's start at the top. Why wasn't Kane Hodder Jason? Why would you snub Jason? Ronnie, you said, I wanted an actor with expressive eyes. When has that ever mattered in the Friday the 13th series? So they cast Ken Kersinger. He's a little bigger than Kane Hodder. Big deal. But that's a slap in the face to Kane Hodder. It's a slap in the face to the entire series. Also, Jason isn't even the antagonist of Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy's the antagonist. It's a Freddy Krueger-centric movie, which means it shouldn't, by rule, even be counted as a Friday the 13th sequel. They turn Jason into the good guy halfway through the movie. Not to mention, when he brings Freddy into the real world, you have this 120-pound pedophile kicking the shit out of Jason Voorhees. It's totally not realistic. This guy ate 100 punches to the face in Part 8 from a professional boxer, and all of a sudden Freddy's going to Muay Thai him. It doesn't make any sense at all. So many things about the movie are garbage. It retcons the entire end of Part 9. It retcons the entire end of Freddy's Dead. At the end of Freddy's Dead, Springwood was a ghost town. There were no children there. Yet in Freddy vs. Jason, they have an entire high school graduating class. That's impossible. At the end of Part 9, Jason's dragged to hell. But in Freddy vs. Jason, he just comes back to life. Everything about Freddy vs. Jason, it should not have happened. There were a million other scripts they could have chosen. They chose a horrible script. Part 6 is tight. Part 6 is the zombie, horrible, walking, unstoppable Jason you're talking about in Freddy vs. Jason. He's scary again. That's where he was scary the first time as a zombie. There are great kills. There are great stunts. The RV crash. When he twists Sissy's head around. The triple decapitation. Yes, it's great, and it does lead from a scene of female empowerment before it, because the woman executive kills all the other people. And in fact, when he kills the first guy and rips his arm off and he has the smiley face against a tree, yeah, there is a lot of humor in that movie. There's a lot of self-deprecating humor in that movie. There's a lot of meta humor in that movie. It's totally influential. If we don't have Jason Lives, we don't have Scream. If we don't have Scream, we really don't have anything after 1996. Everything goes back to Jason Lives. We're not talking about what's the best sequel. We're talking about what's the best movie. It's so influential. Freddy vs. Jason influenced absolutely nothing. Jason Lives influenced literally everything that came after it.
In time. All right. Things are heating up, and things are definitely about to come to a roaring boil. In our open debate, a gentle reminder not to talk over each other, allow each competitor to have some time to space, time to talk, I mean. And the time starts when either competitor starts speaking.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, let me stop you there. I think Jason Live is okay, but I think the character are very one-dimensional at times. They're like very little things. Like the daughter of the police chief trying to fall in love with this guy that claiming that Jason Voorhees come alive. That very one-dimensional thing. Like it
having a secondary character be one-dimensional is fine. Tommy Jarvis is in the third movie. There's so many one-dimensional characters in Freddy versus Jason. You have a stone. You have a nerd. You have a guy. You have a sex-horned guy. You have his sex.
Okay, girl. Same thing with Jason Live. You got the guy in the RV saying, oh, why don't you teach it? Maybe I join with you. Why Jason killing his girlfriend?
I'll put Tommy Jarvis versus Will Rollins and Laurie combined. Both of the main characters of Freddy versus Jason have absolutely no depth. What is Laurie? What is she? She's nothing. He's in a hospital.
Laurie is someone who her mom was killed by Freddy Krueger. Will is someone who was in a mental hospital because he claimed he thought that Laurie's dad killed her mom.
Do you think there was relevant as Tommy fucking Jarvis, Corey Feldman in part 4, and then the guy in part 5, and he's back in part 6? We have 3 movies with the character development. Tommy Jarvis is one of the cornerstones of the Friday the 13th series. I don't care if the other character is one-dimensional. This movie is a showdown between Tommy Jarvis and Jason Voorhees.
But it then commit like some really dumb decision, like him just screaming, "Hey Jason, over here! That me you want the finale?" Just I think with Freddy.
Oh, you mean exactly what they do in Freddy versus Jason when with the girl from Destiny's Child, like, "Hey Freddy," and then Laurie does the same thing at the end.
But then
you get criticized Jason when they literally repeat the same shitty trope in your movie.
But we talk about two. They both commit shitty trope. We will say that when one have a better finale. Jason,
better finale, there's no resolution. They make it look like Jason wins, and then they retcon that. Freddy's still alive. Nobody wins. There's no resolution in Freddy versus Jason.
I think that would make it fun. It's just like the two unstoppable forces are going against each other. Freddy wins in the first round, then Jason does win in the second round. The fact that he used Freddy Krueger like line chop hand and to kill Freddy at the end, I think it's a clever moment. I think there are very funny moments as well. I think.
Chris, can you tell me with a straight face you think Freddy Krueger can beat up Jason Voorhees?
Yeah, he in his own realm. Like at that point.
No. When they're at Camp Crystal Lake, Freddy's doing like Rey Mysterio shit. He's kneeing him in the face. That is absolute garbage.
Okay, but we had to take that face value. You can't have you had to have an even fight between the two of them. But
no, you don't. Like, Jason has beaten up people 2-3 times the size of Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund weighs like 135 pounds soaking wet. And we've never seen Freddy have a fist fight ever in any movie. All of a sudden, he's like Hoist Gracie. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Freddy versus Jason is insulting.
It's just like, okay, so how should we defeat Jason? We drag him into Crystal Lake and let him drown the same place he was drowned.
But since when is Jason afraid of water? Jason kills people in the lake in part 4. He drowns a girl in part 7. He swims to New York City in part 8. All of a sudden, in Freddy vs. Jason, he's afraid of water.
Okay,
it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, let me also point out the police officers in the movie are dumb shit who don't.
That's every horror movie. That's every horror movie.
In Freddy vs. Jason, they know that they cannot say Freddy's name. They know, right? They're more more smart.
Yeah, he walks into Jason when Jason's electrified and electrocutes himself. He's really smart. You're right.
But it does lead to good death. You get even the stereotypical rating when
great death. Sheriff Garris's death in part 6 is great. Jason literally folds him in half 4 movies before he folds the kid in half in Freddy versus Jason.
Time.
Yeah.
Okay. Things have come to verbal blows. I love it. All right, so let's let this simmer for a little bit in our 1 minute, in our 60-second closers, starting with Chris. Chris, your time starts when you start talking.
Listen, I will admit both of the movie are fine at best, okay at best, but I think what Freddy vs. Jason does well, it gave you a show that you want. It made Jason unstoppable force again. It gave one of the best scenes in any Friday the 13th with him in raids, just killing people left and right with the beer can, then with the machete, with the flame on. Get a great showdown, even though it doesn't get the end. I think what Jason Lives stuff it tried to be funny, and the human did not work at all. There are some really bad humor in this movie. When you talk about the RV crash scene, where you talk about anything with the cop, none of it's funny. You're saying that it helped Scream. I think Evil Dead, where I think came out around the same year, that Evil Dead 2 did a better job at that. I definitely think you want a good bloodbath, some really good kills, some memorable moments, especially a showdown that it will live on today. It leaves you with satisfying, and when you want a horror movie, it leaves you with a smile on face that you want with the Friday the 13th. One that memorable, one that really some
Time. All right, and John, we are moving into your 60-second closer to wrap up round 1. Time starts when you start talking.
I'm not sure what Chris wanted to get out of Jason Lives. I guess he wanted a 4-hour Shakespearean epic where every single character is well developed, and there's a huge denouement and very lot of tragedy. Jason Lives is a slasher movie. It is the preeminent slasher movie. Tom McLaughlin does a fantastic job. He casted a great Jason. He didn't snub the best Jason ever to make a crappy movie. All right, Freddy vs. Jason did not need to be made. It did not need to be made like that. There were plenty of other scripts floating around. They chose one of the worst scripts that required to retcon everything. Jason Lives is a phenomenal movie. Great stunts, great meta commentary, great characters, great kills. The mythos of Jason that we know him as is born in Jason Lives. Everything in Freddy vs. Jason that Chris is going on and on and on about, Jason's great, Jason's unstoppable, that's Jason Lives. In Freddy vs. Jason, Jason gets stopped by a small cascade of water. Unstoppable until water. This new water weakness, which is absolute garbage. I don't want a good guy, water-afraid Jason getting his ass kicked by a pedophile.
Time. All right, great. Great showing from both competitors. I'm going to go ahead and remove both competitors now, and we will bring in our judges. And I have removed myself for a second there. And I'm back. Hi. I would possibly try and fact check things. So much information is being thrown around. I missed a lot of it. One thing I will.
Can I mention a fact check? Just mention. It was just ironic that he mentioned this. John mentioned Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio did the stunt work for Freddy vs. Jason. So, interesting tidbit there.
Cool.
I thought it was funny.
As our judge brought that up, I would say don't let that affect your judging because it wasn't technically.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
But the only thing I will bring up is that it was brought up by one of our competitors that cops are inept in every horror film. If you watch horror films enough, yeah, that's pretty true. First, we're going to go ahead and start with Carrie Webb. Carrie, let's try keep it to about 30, 45 seconds. Who got your point and a brief description as to why?
Okay. I thought both competitors had really great arguments, and so this wound up being a pretty hard choice. But I think overall, John gave more arguments about why his film was the better movie overall. And he kind of trapped Chris into talking a lot about whether Freddy could actually beat up Jason. So ultimately, I'm going to give my point to John.
Excellent. And Mr. Chad.
Mr. Chad, there you go. Considering knowing how strong John is in horror, this was actually a lot closer than I thought it might be. Chris was doing a really great job, I thought, but I still definitely went with John as well because he just definitely had a lot more knowledge about the franchise itself. And the key point that really sold me was how he said that there were so many different scripts for Freddy vs. Jason floating around, and they chose one of the worst ones, which I'm pretty sure is absolutely true. And yeah, the trapping, like Harry said, is definitely a great point. And also just like talking about the influence. And Chris was trying to take that down a little bit, but I just don't think it was like enough to sway me from that point to say it influenced Scream, which influenced other things. So
Absolutely. All right, so John takes round one. As you can see, our score below 1-0. Thank you to Chad and Carrie. Richie, we will hear you chime in round two, and we will bring our competitors back in. All right, so as we go into round number two is a viewer submitted question, which is submitted by a viewer, player, or judge of the show. Before we get into the question, as always, if you want to get your question into a future Movie Battlegrounds match, go ahead and email Aaron at officialaaronknoll@gmail.com with your name and your question. If you the questions you want to submit, you can always submit more than one.
Canoll Gmail.
What's that?
I'm unofficial Aaron Canoll at Gmail, so don't email there.
Yeah, because then you'll get pictures of cannolis in return, and no one wants that.
No, we don't.
But if you do want your question submitted, when to be considered, you must have your name attached to the question, or else Aaron will just toss out the question. So to get on to the viewer submitted question, this question was submitted by none other by the Pez man himself, Austin Howell. What is the best horror film remake released in the 2000s? So very interesting question. Somewhat prescient in the last couple of decades. But let's see how things go. John opted to go first in this round, so we're going to bring up our lovely timer. And John, the floor is yours, and the timer starts when you start speaking.
People at home didn't see this before the match. I believe Chris said my pick in this question actually made him angry, and that's great that it made him angry because the movie I picked is Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead. Let me start by saying I love George Romero. Any horror fan should love George Romero. Night of the Living Dead is an unprecedented classic. Dawn of the Dead is also a classic, but when you watch Dawn of the Dead in modern times, you could tell it needs a facelift. Obviously, it was a low-budget movie, only $650,000, $3 million by today's standards of inflation. You could tell the makeup looks kind of wacky. Tom Savini is a genius, did his best. Dawn of the Dead was a necessary facelift to bring Romero's vision from 1978 up to 2004. It also ramped up a lot of the current zombie things that we love nowadays. We got fast zombies. We got bigger stunts. We got bigger characters. We got a lot. It goes into a lot of places that the original Dawn of the Dead couldn't. And honestly, Dawn of the Dead 78 is like a love letter to zombie movies. Clearly, they were having a lot of fun. You watch the scene where the bikers come into the mall. There's definitely a lot of things, a lot of missteps that Romero did that are corrected in Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
Well, I did a stunt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you not hear me?
No, we couldn't hear you.
Okay. So let me start that over. Hey, I said start. Stop. Thank you. Okay. And let me get to. Okay. Once this, we're going to just count it down from here. And once the timer starts anew, Chris can start talking. All right.
So when it comes to horror remake, 2000 didn't have a lot of good horror remake. So I went with the one that not only scary, but also kind of like make you think a little bit with the ending. It had one of the greatest like monster person ever with Samara. Again with the 2002 The Ring. It directed by Gilbert Disney. I think it's one of the best horror movies. Yes, it's slow burn, but it built up the scares of you have 7 days to live. You watch the tape, you get really just like little jumps in there. But the horror that you get a really great reveal tomorrow at the end. Played wonderfully by the actor who voiced Lelos, and you get like that question that made you question: would you sacrifice many people's lives to save your own son with copying the case? It great performance by Naomi Watts. Great performance by David Durbin. Great performance by Andrew Henderson. Phenomenal score by Hans Zimmer. One of the best remakes
Time.
last year.
All right. So, Dawn of the Dead 2004 versus The Ring 2002. All right, John, your 2-minute expansion starts when you start talking.
I think the true measure of this question, what's the best remake of the 2000s, is like let's just even ask the question: did the movie need to be remade? Ring probably didn't need to be remade. It's a movie that was only like 4 years old at the time. It was kind of like really arrogant of us to think we should remake a Japanese film. We're talking like on the backs of Audition having a cult following in the United States, on the backs of Battle Royale having a cult following in the United States. Why couldn't Ringu be released in the United States? Ringu is a perfect mystery film. Ringu, on $1 million budget, blows away The Ring on a $48 million budget. $48 million budget, it's ranked lower on Rotten Tomatoes. Ringu has a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes. I think Ring has a 78 on Rotten Tomatoes. So basically, like all that CGI for a PG-13 movie, they should have just went all, totally balls out, went R rating on that. But let's talk about Dawn of the Dead some more. Like, when you watch the 78 Dawn of the Dead, you are watching a classic. What George Romero did with that little amount of money and Tom Savini and his crew, it's a miracle. Like Night of the Living Dead was a miracle. Dawn of the Dead's a miracle. Day of the Dead's a miracle. Doesn't mean that we can't improve on it. And we did. We gave it we went from, like I said, an inflation-adjusted $3 million budget to a $26 million budget. We let Zack Snyder go a little nuts. We got car crashes. We got explosions. We got, snipers. We got great characters. We go into areas like, with the baby zombie, with the guy's wife turning into a zombie and having the baby, family drama, great characters. You get to see Phil Dunphy as a zombie. What other movie has Phil Dunphy as a zombie, right? Only Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead 2004. It's a great ride. The entire movie, it's great action from pillar to post. Sarah Polley killing it. Ving Rhames killing it in this movie. So many great leads. And ends on the same down note. Keeps a lot of those same themes Romero had. It makes the commentary on commercialism just like Romero did. Has the down ending just like Romero did. Dawn of the Dead, great. Ring, kind of unnecessary. Go with the Japanese version.
Time. All right. And Chris, the floor is yours. The timer starts when you start talking.
So I wanted to, and I said it before offhand, I like Dawn of the Dead, but I think it was overhyped and overblown for me. I think there are moments that are good there, but I think you should see Zack Snyder them. You see the music video moment with like the happy montage at the father get killed. And little slow motion. It ruined the unnecessary in there. They bring up the social commentary, then they drop it immediately for humor, for pornographic jokes, for Phil Dunphy being an asshole in the film. See Sarah Polley is trying the best she can with a very one-dimensional character. She loses her fiance, her boyfriend in the beginning of the film, then she totally falls in love with the other guy later on. Ving Rhames doing the best she can, and I just feel like the typical zombie film it lose what made Joe R. Romero good, his social commentary. Whether it's religion, whether it's just socialism, whether it's black versus white. You lose it and Dawn of the Dead for Zack Snyder wanting to use the ring in front of you to get you excited. They make some idiotic character decisions. I think, yes, do we need a remake of the ring? Maybe not. But not a lot of people watch Japanese horror movies. Nobody knows who Samara was until the ring come out. Samara is now one of the most infamous, classic horror characters there is. She's scary. She intense to scene with the therapy, that video scene, one of the most scariest, especially considering it from the girl who played Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. It's scary. And when it gets to the payoff, when she come out the camera on the TV, it's satisfying. It's scary. She is horrifying. I think Naomi Watts is giving a really good performance. Yeah, does she walk a lot? No, but you get so much better. She concerned about her kids. She trying to keep the relationship with her ex, who's the father of her son. And she did all of things, and it's great performance. The kid performance good. The ex-husband really good. And it does lead to satisfying. Brian Cox is really good in his small amount of role as a mom dad. And his death scene is a little sad.
Time.
But
All right. So some great opening remarks, some great expansions. And now we're going to let the fur fly, and we're going to go into the open debate. Gentlemen, your time starts when one of you starts talking.
Let me start, I'm going to say something really quick at the top, and then you can talk. So I've been married to my wife going on 20 years. And the first date we ever had, I took her to see The Ring. And what I said to her when we went in there, I was like, I'd love to take you to see Ringu, but they're not releasing it in America. Let's see this. And, I'll be honest, Chris, we had a good time. The effects are great. It's a great shot-for-shot remake of Ringu, but it is a shot-for-shot remake. Nothing was added to The Ring. It's not a new film. It's basically like Psycho remaking Psycho. It's no work went into The Ring. No work went into it.
Yeah, but he made a movie that to introduce people to The Ring, to Tamora.
So you're saying introduce people to Norman Bates?
Let me pull out a great example. One of the best remake at the other decade, Let Me In, is almost shot-by-shot remake of the right one is. So we had an example of shot-by-shot remake.
There was a much longer time between those movies. They gave enough people time to see.
I know, but it
just like introduction right away. They didn't. The body wasn't even cold.
Yeah, but it still made a good movie. If it's shot-by-shot, yes, but it's a great horror remake. It's a really good horror remake. You get the floor, but you get the
effect of Samara coming out of the TV. That wasn't even new. Ringu did the same exact shot. It wasn't like a brand new novel. Meanwhile, in Dawn of the Dead, you got like way more stuff. You got like explosions.
Unnecessary. Okay, let me. All right.
Go ahead.
But unnecessary. It's Zack Snyder being Zack Snyder, and I like
Zack Snyder's first movie. We don't get any of that DCEU. Zack Snyder. We don't give him the shot with Dawn of the Dead. We don't get that.
You get the slow motion. You get the little music video in between. You get. I think one of the best things get ruined by Zack Snyder. It's the scene where they had to shoot the dad of this girl because he'd been bitten. The daughter say no, let him live. Like, daughter, I had to go through it. They shoot him. They get happy montage of them play chess. Them doing happy stuff. It's just like it's Zack Snyder being Zack Snyder. I think The Ring never let go the horror element. It keeps going and going. You get a much better performance than anything that was done with Naomi Watts. I think she's freaking phenomenal.
I don't think. I mean, The Ring isn't going to lend itself to having a better performance. That's a performance-driven movie.
I'm just saying, like the moment
it's massive hordes of zombies attacking people. You're not going to have much time for character development. Yeah. It's action. Zack Snyder was a good action guy to bring on. The original Dawn of the Dead had very little character development too.
It also relies on bad jump scares. They're really.
It's a zombie movie. Of course, every zombie movie that doesn't have bad jump scares. Is there a zombie in the closet? Yeah, there's a zombie in the closet. Every zombie movie is
Zack Snyder being a first-time director. Stuff that I think his editing is bad at point, especially during the montage and such. I think that one of the worst decisions he made really hurt the film, including the ending during the post-credit scene. If you watch the film for the first time, you don't know there's anything in the post-credit scene. There is all depressing ending in the post-credit scene that get ruined because
are you telling me every Romero movie didn't have a depressing ending? The ending of Night of the Living Dead is a black man getting shot by a lynch mob. The end of Dawn of the Dead, everybody dies. That is an homage to Romero. You need to have a depressing ending, or else you're shitting on George Romero.
Okay, let me also point.
Whereas basically Gore Verbinski also shit on Ringu because he didn't do anything. He's like, hey, Japanese people, we know your movie's not really popular. We're not going to do anything. We're going to deliver it as is and just put a gloss of crappy CGI over the top of it. The Ring did not need to be made. Audition was successful. Battle Royale was successful.
But even that's the question you have to play any horror movie. Does it need to be made? No. But did we get a really good movie yet? Hans Zimmer's score is also really good. You get a really good try.
You know what? I'll grant Hans Zimmer's score is great. The movie didn't need to be remade. The score in the movie
Henderson, it's really good performance. Brian Cox Very
Time.
good forward.
Ooh, boy. I need a nap after this. All right. So let's go ahead and
Oh my god.
get the timer out of here. There we go. All right. So good job, good job, both of you. Let's go ahead and bring in our judges. The only fact checking I really have.
They didn't do their closing.
They didn't do the closing thing.
Oh, just kidding.
I'm just back here flailing my arms.
John, I have to say,
Okay.
really good argument. This is like the best reaction.
Okay. So you're not doing what I asked you to, timer. Stop it. Okay. This is all things that Aaron can take out and post, hopefully.
He'll definitely take this out.
Okay. All right. I'm going to remove myself out of here. All right. John, the timer starts when you start talking.
This launched Zack Snyder's career. We actually owed it to George Romero to remake this movie. This is the movie George Romero might have made if he had the money to make it. He only had $650,000 back then to make Dawn of the Dead, and he did an excellent job. But you look at the makeup effects, you look at the kill effects. You're like, I wish there was more, and Zack Snyder delivered in 2004. He gave us the big budget zombie movie we wanted. Are there jump scares? Yeah. Are there shitty acting? Yeah. Or do they make stupid decisions? Yeah. It's a fucking zombie movie. Meanwhile, The Ring is the same goddamn movie. It's the same movie. They didn't change anything. Samara still comes out of the TV. People still die like this. In the movie, it's the same movie. They did nothing. It's an insult to the fact that, oh no, we can't have crossover films. We can't bring Japanese movies over. Audition doesn't exist. Battle Royale doesn't exist. Nobody likes those movies. Ringu was great. Just release it in America. You could have saved $48 million if you released fucking Ringu in America.
I'm sorry.
Time? Note to self, don't piss John off. Okay. Chris, timer starts when you start talking.
So I want to point out, this is what the best horror remake of the 2000s. Doesn't need to be remade, no, but is it a really good horror movie? Yeah. The Ring introduced us to Gilbert Ritchie before the Pirate of the Caribbean, before what we know him as later. It have a phenomenal star-making performer, Naomi Watts. Brian Cox is really good at The Father Tomorrow. And the effect is really good. Like the horse scene where the horse is jumping out of its thing into water is really good, intense scene. Hans Zimmer's choice is memorable. I think Dawn of the Dead lose what was great about the video. Lose the social commentary for Zack Snyderism. You did have it for a first-time directive. Makeup is okay for 2004. The performances are all over the place. The security officer, really bad performance. Some of the ensemble really good. Type around really bad. I think The Ring make it relevant. It introduced us to want to check out the Japanese horror movie. It introduced us to one of my classic characters and more. And also leave you on intent note. Should we sacrifice many lives to save on song by comedy cape? I think that ending hit you more than on the dead credit scene stuff.
Okay. Great round from both competitors. I'm going to go ahead and move both of them to the back while we bring in our judges. At this point, I almost would fact check a couple things, but I'm scared to. So we're going to go ahead and move over to chat. Go ahead and as short and concise as you can. Tell us who got that point for you and why.
Well, yeah, it's looking at the question. It's just interesting because John definitely was trying to sell what was the best remake, and then Chris was trying to sell what was the best like movie. And I get the point about was The Ring different? I think it was, but Chris didn't like sell a huge point on whether it was a shot for shot remake or anything like that, but he did sell a lot of like the performances. He said that it added a really great score and it was just a great movie overall, whether you saw the original or not. And John, so I think I'm going to go with Chris here actually, because John really started to go to a whole thing saying that it was the best zombie movie. It didn't have any great acting or anything really great in it, other than it being a really great zombie movie that George Romero would have been proud of. But then I think Chris was just selling me on his movie is just the better movie overall, and he had a lot of great takedowns, I thought, of Zack Snyder isms and the slow motion and a lot of that stuff. And it seems like he really hates Dawn of the Dead, and that kind of showed. So I'm gonna go with Chris this time.
All right, fair enough. Richie, go ahead and, as concise as possible, tell us who got your point and why.
Yeah, great spirited debate by both of them. I was worried very impassioned by John. I thought he was going to have a brain aneurysm, but I'm glad he's here. But yeah, that was really good. But at the end of the day, I think Chris had some good takedowns as to to John as to the criticism of being a shot for shot remake, and how that's not necessarily like a bad thing, and it sort of introduces to a wide audience, to American market. So I ultimately went with Chris here, but it was a tough decision. I was going back and forth the whole match.
All right. Well, I think all of our judges. Carrie will obviously go ahead and get to you the next round here. But I'm going to go ahead and remove all judges and bring in our competitors. Great spirit all around.
I want to say before we go to next question, I liked Dawn of the Dead. I gave it a 3.5 on one Letterboxd, so I'm not hating on it.
Zack Snyder thanks you, Chris.
I thought they had to bring a better score between the two of them.
All right. So moving right along, we now get to talk about, speaking of polarizing, polarizing performers here. We get to talk about Nicolas Cage. With the release earlier this year of The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent being just just objectively one of the most bonkers films that have come out this year, and just have completely shown multiple sides of Nicolas Cage that we've not really seen in quite some time. It is really fun to look back at his film career and see what has come before and everything like that. So the question posed to our two wonderful debaters today: what is Nick Cage's worst performance? So, Chris is going to go first on this question, and the time. Let me go ahead and bring in the timer, because I don't believe the timer's. Oh no, the timer is there. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove myself. And Mr. Diaz, the time starts when you start talking.
So I want to say this is what Nicolas Cage's worst performance, not his worst movie. I don't go with him in The Wicker Man. I think this is a movie that really you can tell he would not give a damn about. He looked like he sleepwalked throughout the movie. One movie like he punched the in lady, he had the weird look like he about to pass gas when he punched her. He had the unintentional angry moment, and it led to like when you question, is he a really good actor? he said in an interview that he thought they were attention comedy. You can't really tell because I just feel like he's not giving a damn. He'd be no emotion to it. The moment of when he tried to act come out really fake and one note. And especially against people like Ellen Burstyn and a bunch of other cats, he gave me nothing. I will argue I think he deserved the Razzie nomination. He should have won for this. I think it very well, especially when you had the beating, his acting reached all time like Hayden Christensen level of bad acting from the prequel trilogy. Like not the bees, anything but the bees. But you should only see in the DVD, not even in the theatrical cut, even make it worse.
Time. All right. So we have Nick Cage's performance in The Wicker Man on the table. John, time starts when you start talking.
You bet with The Wicker Man. I raise you Left Behind. You want to talk about a movie where Nick Cage does not give a shit. Left Behind is that movie. We have a character. He is a pilot. He cheats on his wife. The only thing about his character is that he's a pilot who cheats on his wife, and he's not selected for the rapture. Nick Cage sleepwalks through this entire movie. I think this is a difference between him having bad direction in some movies versus zero direction in this movie. I don't believe he is a pilot. I don't believe he has had sex. I don't believe he knows how to fly a plane. I don't believe he knows how to interact with people. Everything in this movie is wooden, backwards, odd. He makes decisions and that are weird. I imagine it was written that way, but he has no reaction to anything. Literally half the population or more gets raptured off the plane. There's disaster everywhere. And at the end of the movie, it's just like he took a shit or something. I have no idea. It's like Left Behind is hot garbage, and his performance is a part of that garbage.
And time. So we have The Wicker Man in the left corner and Left Behind in the right. Gentlemen, this is going to be a great match. Mr. Diaz, time starts when you start talking.
This is the argument I've been waiting to have here. I think both movies are bad, but I will defend Nicolas Cage in Left Behind. I think he is trying to save the movie for being bad. The moment where he is acting, the moment where he is given the ticket from the daughter potential boyfriend, and he got that look when he seen the message. We don't see until later what it actually was on the ticket. And he got that look. The moment when he in the cockpit trying to fly the plane, he on the phone with his daughter, apologizing for all the mess he is. You see the tears and the heartbreak and stuff. He actually is giving that. Trying to name me emotional moment for Nicolas Cage in The Wicker Man. The moment when he just he sleepwalking, like this type of look, like he just gave you this small little look. Like he's looking at a self-help video in the beginning of the film, and he's smiling. Like, what kind of person smile at a self-help video? Like, especially when you get to the B scene, it's all-time awful acting. You see, he was doing a comedy, and you can't really tell. He just he doesn't know what film he is. Like, they're not just bad direction. He just he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know how to show emotion. His anger come out really one note and out of nowhere. Right behind it, I believe his relationship with Donna did have a nice moment. He laughing, he's smiling, he making a joke too seriously. He had that little chemistry. There's so much in Left Behind that I think saved it from being one of the worst movies ever. Steve Rickman did nothing for his thing. It he just passing out gas, pretty much with some expression. And everything else, especially against legend like Ellen Burstyn, all thing. That one scene of them just talking, and he just come out okay, tell me where my daughter is. That one note, Hayden Christensen type of acting. There's no expression coming out of him. It's so bad. It's so uncensored. It's kind of boring. It makes the movie more boring than it is. And then you just laughing at how bad the performance is at the end.
All right, that is time. I can't, obviously as host, I can't judge, but Chris definitely gets, phantom points in my heart for saying I'm going to defend Left Behind with a straight face. John, let's hear what you have to say when the time starts.
that leaves me no choice but to defend the Wicker Man. Now, basically, like, I don't know what Chris is arguing. He's argued both sides of the coin already. He said that Nick Cage has sleptwalked through the Wicker Man, but he also said there's moments of anger. Yeah, there's a scene where he cold cocks a lady in the face and then sidekicks Lily Sobieski into a wall and then cold cocks another lady in a costume. That's not sleepwalking. There was a lot of physical demand on Nicolas Cage in the Wicker Man. It was a pretty physical role, to be honest. He shows anger every 5 minutes. He's definitely not sleepwalking through it. He interrogates a room full of school children. Like, this is one of those performances where either you can respect it for what it is, or you know that the direction of Nick Cage was so bad that it created memes. A performance can't be sleepwalk or forgettable if it creates dozens and dozens of memes. There's no Left Behind memes. You want to talk about sleepwalking through a movie? Yes. Does he make a face when he looks at the ticket? Yeah. But the majority of the scene is him like hitting controls. Like, I do not believe this guy's a pilot. I do not believe this guy cheats on his wife. Yes, he basically flirts with the girl. That's it. Like, it's nothing like sexual. I don't believe they're having a sexual relationship at all. They don't feel like having a sexual relationship. I don't even believe he loves his daughter. Like, he has coffee with her and he's like, hey, honey, I'll see you later. And I know that's the whole thing. Like, like his wife's a born again Christian and Left Behind is just Christian propaganda. But the director just basically showed up, didn't direct Nick Cage at all. At least Neil LaBute must have given Nick Cage some direction. And if you look at all the other performances of this movie, you talk about Ellen Burstyn, and I'll talk about Lily Sobieski and Frances Conroy and Molly Parker. They all give like muted, weird performances. It's like, hey guys, you're in a cult. Just act like you're in a cult. They all give these muted performances. So in turn, Nicolas Cage does not look like he's sleepwalking. Nicolas Cage looks like he's night terroring through the Wicker Man. Like, every other scene is him yelling in somebody's face, threatening people. Like, he goes in the classroom, he erases the lesson off the blackboard. He's out of control in the Wicker Man. That movie is emotion, bell to bell, with the exception of a little small piece in the beginning, I'd say.
All right. Now, if I have to give Chris Phantom points, I'm going to give John Phantom points because now I want a T-shirt that says Nicolas Cage night tearing since 2006. Okay. Shit is about to get real in the 4-minute debate. Time starts when one of you starts defending these pieces of shit.
Just a point of order, Chris. Are we saying Nick Cage sleptwalked through the Wicker Man, or are we saying he's angry in the Wicker Man? What are we doing?
I think both here, because I think he also.
I don't think you can do both. You're gonna have to pick one for me because you can't sleepwalk if you're angry.
Okay, he is angry, but when he look angry, he looking like he's about to pass out gas. Like the moment, like you're talking about the thing when he entered to punch the innkeeper out. He come in with the real like a smile on his face, and then he punched the innkeeper like that. It come out of like what?
That lady had it coming. You know she had it coming.
What the hell you doing at the actor?
The entire movie.
Like, okay, let me talk about that classroom scene. You're talking about that he angry. They changed his face and he was he had that weird like robotic laugh out of nowhere.
You have to understand that. I think that acting is appropriate in that situation. He's on this island. Everyone's acting weird.
No, but
they don't respect his authority. They don't respect his authority. Granted, he has no authority there. He's a California highway patrolman in a lake in Washington. But they're not respecting his authority. He's frustrated. They're acting weird.
And he come out like that.
The acting makes sense. I don't think it's a bad performance. The acting makes sense. Left Behind, literally, half the world gets raptured. He's like, this is how shit is now, I guess.
Okay. He is trying to save a movie with Left Behind. I think he tries his best. The moment
in Left Behind, he literally changes the pressure in the cabin to make the entire crew and passengers pass out. I'm going to knock these people out.
Trying to land a plane and he talking with his daughter, apologizing for all the things he did.
I will take that 30-second conversation versus literally 4 minutes of Nick Cage flipping out and kicking ass. Way better performance. No, one conversation with his daughter, I grant it. Every scene of him flipping out in the Wicker Man is memeable. So even if it's so bad, it's good. That is good. Like, there are performances that are so
memeable performance is still a bad performance. We look at Hayden Christensen, for example, if you want to talk about me with a bad performance. Nicolas Cage is just like, he looked like he was just like, okay, and I tell you,
if you don't laugh
that,
hysterically at least 12 times during The Wicker Man and Nick Cage's awesome comedic performances, you're dead. Like when they go off camera, he's like, my legs, that's hysterical. When he punches that lady in the face, that's hysterical. When he kicks Lily Sobieski to the wall and she goes, that's hysterical.
And he
it's not intentional, but it's freaking great. Left Behind gives you nothing. Left Behind is a total waste of
because the moment when you just tell he is trying to save a movie like Left Behind, the moment when he thought it, the moment when his potential love interest.
Yo, that movie's got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. At least Wicker Man has a 14%. So 14% of people agree with me. 0% of people agree with you.
Okay, you coming to this doesn't mean they wanted better than you. I just saying
there isn't even one person who's like, yeah, Left Behind. Nick Cage saves that movie.
There's so many movies in the past where a performance
like 2 or 3 good lines. I will grant you 2 or 3 good lines. The thing with the daughter, yeah, I can even do that. Oh, honey, we wasted time. Oh, Cats in the Cradle.
I can do the same with Nicolas Cage. Oh, the bees, nothing but the bees. All of that.
He does stunts in that movie. He falls down a hill. He swims. He runs. Left Behind, he sits in a fucking chair for 90 minutes. Like, at least physical performance alone. Wicker Man, he's killing it. He's killing it, let alone all the angry fight scenes. Wicker Man's I'm not going to say Wicker Man's great. You're not going to get me to say Wicker Man is great. But I'm entertained. Wicker Man entertained me. Left Behind did not entertain me.
Neither movie entertained, but at least I just feel
Wicker Man entertained you. Wicker Man entertained you. Chris, don't sit here and lie. Wicker Man entertained you.
The argument, like, I'm being example, I talked about when he smiled, when he telling a joke, when he entered the airplane, he actually
time. Jesus Christ, this round has already aged me 5 years. Oh God. All right, so moving on to the 60-second closers. Chris, put us out of our misery when the time starts.
Listen, we are talking about Nicolas Cage's worst performance. You bring up the review saying the movie is bad because of him. I bring up the fact that the Wicker Man performance is bad just because it's bad performance. Is it memorable? Yeah, but it's unlikable. It is so unopposite. It is so like one note with angriness, with the small face, with like smiling coming out of him, his robotic laugh. With Left Behind, he is trying to save a movie. You just see like emotions to be in the moment, like when you see the letter with the ticket in, the last conversation with daughter before they land the plane, like and reuniting, hugging. You just feel at least he's trying to create that chemistry with the daughter, with the steward there, with the little joke here and there. Wicker Man had nothing. It's just one note. It's very angry at times, but it angry tends to lead to bad performance. Hayden Christensen in Clone, Attack the Clone, and Revenge is a great example of bad performance with angriness in it. That's what Nicolas Cage did. Angry, nothing else.
Okay. I would call you Calamity, John, but I think the Calamity was already brought on by the question. John, read us our last rites when the timer starts.
You got it, Will. I'm kind of at a loss, right? I don't really know what Chris is even saying. If it's a one-note performance, it's a one-note performance. But we know he gets angry. We know he gets frustrated, and we know he delivers. Like there's wooden lines as well. In the beginning, he's a wooden state patrolman. By the end, he's a crazed out, confused fanatic. That is not a one-note performance. Actually, that's a gamut of emotion. It's a total. He goes the entire length and gives a physical performance. And I defy you, even if you hate the Wicker Man, even if you think the Wicker Man is an affront to everything you hold dear, you will be entertained by at least 10 minutes of the Wicker Man. Whereas in Left Behind, even if everything Chris said is true, even if the conversation with the daughter pulls at your heartstrings, it doesn't. Even if him flirting with the stewardess is great and it makes you hot, it won't. That's like literally combined maybe 95 seconds of film compared to at least Nick Cage fighting women for 5 minutes, and he swims and he finds a dead body and he wears a bear suit and he gets blown up by a car. Like so many great things happen to Nick Cage in The Wicker Man, right?
Time. Thank God. Time. Okay. That was I can even see by some of the judges' faces that this was just, hey, what the fuck? So we're gonna remove our great competitors from the stream. Gonna bring in our judges. I have no fact checks, but both of these competitors get 50 phantom points from me because they had to watch these pieces of shit and analyze them for an argument. With that being said, Carrie, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Is it me? Is it me first? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and you're right. Let's go ahead and start with Richie for now. Richie,
Okay.
Richie, who
Yeah.
gets your fondest sympathies for this round, and why?
Yeah, okay. First of all, line of the night for John saying, "I don't believe this guy fucks." That was really funny. But yeah, I generally thought like John crushed this round. I think Chris tripped himself up a bit on on whether it was a wooden performance, and then I think John counteracted that. Because I think Chris is contradicting himself a bit. Where he said it wasn't a wonderful performance; it was kind of a whole gamut of emotion. And I just think obviously there's memes of he made a good point how it's entertaining, how there's memes of Wicker Man, and then there's not enough left behind. So John pretty easily here, but yeah.
All right, so that's 1 point for John. Carrie, who gets your vote and why?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with John as well. I thought Chris had some really great arguments, but I think ultimately I agreed with what Richie said, and I think also John gave a convincing argument that at least the performance in The Wicker Man is entertaining. And even though like Chris was able to point to maybe 2 or 3 scenes in Left Behind that Nick Cage showed emotion, kind of John made the argument that that's only 90 seconds of the movie.
All right. So that brings the score to John at 2 and Chris to 1. Thank you all for whatever the hell that was. And we're going to send our wonderful judges back to the back. And we're going to bring in our competitors for
Rich.
round 4.
Oh,
that is Richie.
They're like brothers. They look alike. They could be brothers. I would cast them as brothers.
Oh, how are you guys? How are you guys feeling after that round? You guys feel good?
Oh, wait till this next question. This next question is batshit. Thanks, Caleb Hansen.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah. Before if we thought that this if that last question and those movies were going to age me, I can only imagine what's going to happen here. Because somehow we went from Nicolas Cage, who's at least won an Academy Award and has garnered acclaim for his movies, to Uwe Boll. Why the fuck are we talking about Uwe Boll? I'm at a loss. But this question was posed to our competitors, and I contractually have to ask the question: what blockbuster franchise is worthy of having Uwe Boll direct an entry? I can already see mixed responses to shaking of heads, and I think Richie actually just fell on the floor. So
I questioned my life when I heard this question.
Shut up, Diaz. I'm hosting this. All right. So, John, you, for some reason, opted to go first on this question. So, I'm going to remove myself while I try and question my life choices backstage. And the timer starts when you start talking.
Historically, Uwe Boll has challenged people to fights for criticizing him. So I'm not here to criticize Uwe Boll. Let's talk about what Uwe Boll does well. Uwe Boll does senseless, crazy, bloody, gory, nonsensical action great. He's great at it, which means, like, what is a scenario in a blockbuster movie where we didn't really get to see the carnage that preceded the movie? I want Uwe Boll to give me, John W. Maher, the prequel to The Terminator. I want to know what was going on in the future when Reese went back in time. I want a huge budget behind Uwe Boll to show me the T-100s and all the Terminators in the future just ripping apart citizens. And you know Uwe Boll doesn't care. He's going to kill kids. He's going to kill babies. Kill kids and babies. Kill tons of kids and babies. All of them. Just the battle for Reese to get back in time. I want 48 hours before Reese goes back in time. The Machine Wars, Uwe Boll, kill me some women, kill me some children. Let's go.
So this is a side note to Aaron. Please, please, please make a capture of just John on repeat going, kill kids and babies, kill kids and babies, kill kids and babies, with a banner at the bottom of it say John Maher 2024.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
I want to see this happen, please.
One of the things on my platform is The Purge. That's on my platform. So.
Oh my god!
What? Because the Hunger Games was too expensive. Got it.
Yeah, way too expensive. People should fund their
Battle
own.
Royale with just two foreign language for you.
Yeah, the budget that's too high. Budget on that's too high. Do it
Jesus
yourself.
Christ, what have I become? Okay, Chris, add pour salt on our wounds when the timer starts.
So, Uwe Boll is one of the directors that he is one note director. He made nonsensical movie and made vampire movies. So why not get him the vampire movie that has sex, it has violence, it has a bizarre plot? I got with the Underworld franchise. I want him to make the ultimate Underworld franchise where vampire and werewolf kill each other. I want to take Kate back to the heavy set with Michael. I want to see her nude fighting vampire and werewolf. I want corny Underworld movie that make no sense at all, with a nonsensical plot, with McGovern that doesn't make that in the long run. That's what the Underworld movie are. They never make that. They have one no character. They have cheesy one-liner. They had actors look like they just trying to hear for the paycheck when you let the Underworld movie. And that's what Uwe Boll is. He made Ben Kingsley in the Blood Rain give a what the hell type performance. That's what you'd expect for him. Even Jason Statham. So he should do the same. Bring back Michael Sheen. Bring back Ben Knight. Your character might have died.
Time. I got lost in all of this, but my ears perked up when I heard nude woman fighting werewolf, and now I am concerned about Christmas church history. Oh God. Okay, John. The time is, the floor is yours. God help us all when the time starts.
This debate's full of sentences I never thought I'd hear myself say, but Uwe Boll has already given us too many vampire movies. The fantastic Blood Rain trilogy. We already saw a naked vampire woman fighting people 3 times. This is not new for Uwe Boll. Uwe Boll has done vampires. Uwe Boll has done zombies. Uwe Boll has done numerous movies of people just going batshit crazy and killing people. What I haven't seen are killer robots from the future. Uwe Boll needs to go into a brand new direction. He needs to give us Terminator 0 48 hours before. Reese is, the plan is being set. It's the small ragtag bunch of survivors in the future. It just keeps cutting away to like women running and just getting mowed down, like busting into where's the nursery school? Oh, there is a nursery school, but here comes the boom, and they're just blowing babies away. If you've seen Seed, he doesn't care. He kills babies all the time in his movies, but he kills the babies on such a low budget. If he could kill babies on a huge budget, it would be so fantastic, don't you think? And meanwhile, Reese is like, oh shit, how am I going to get back in time? And the movie isn't really even about Reese, I don't think. It's going to cut back and forth to Reese and his group and the plan of sending him back in time. But really, it's just a multi-$100 million budget of Uwe Boll ripping apart the most innocent people in our society. Vampires? Bullshit. He's done it. Blood Rain was fine. Blood Rain 2, fine. Blood Rain the Third Reich, you're pushing it. I don't need him. I don't need Underworld 2. Like that. No. Give me the future Terminator. I don't know what happened. Like Reese told Sarah Connor it was bad shit. He was like, oh my God, the shit I've seen. Yeah, let me see it. Let Uwe Boll direct it. There's gonna be like Harriers and like all the Terminators. You can introduce new Terminators. Imagine Uwe Boll inventing new Terminators. Holy crap. Terminators with like 8 arms. Terminators with 5 heads. Terminators with 10 legs, 1,000 guns, killing babies.
I am concerned for all of our safety. Oh. Okay, so before someone calls CPS on John, Chris, the time starts when you start talking.
Yes, the Uwe Boll the vampire, but do we have werewolf at it in a minute? Yes, no! Baby vampire! Baby werewolf fight each other! You want baby vampire? Have you baby? Let's do it! We brought at no about the thing. Terminator been done away. We got salvation. We had Genesis do their crazy stuff. We had yet to see real vampire in the Uwe Boll movie and let's have fun with it. And take Beckinsale into it. Bill Nye and Michael Sheen, who gave you more over the top performance than he did in any other Finger Twilight movie. Like had time travel. Like take your idea, but put it in Twilight movie. Bill Nye came back from the past. He wanted to destroy the River of One Fall. He turned Michael into the half vampire. Who care about the plot? We don't want deathless death, violent upon violent, real vampire killing each other left to right, even killing baby and children vampire killing children of all. Everything in the Uwe Boll movie. I thought like we already got the Terminator with Genesis Salvation and the Terminator Sarah Connor. I don't want the same thing again. Leave the Terminator alone. Get Dan Cameron to come back. I want to see Uwe Boll ahead what he does best. Senseless violence, senseless death. Taking actor that a wonderful actor and giving their worst performance ever. Like each of even making better, even more bad than he already is. And Michael Sheen and Bill Nye and everybody else in the movie. Even Charles Dance. Louis Ball, here, all the money you need. Do what you do best. Have fun with it. We never seen him do real vampire in the movie together. Add Jason Statham for the hell of it. Make him half of a vampire with thousands of arms, thousands of teeth. The gigantic bat at the end that killed everybody. And the franchise. Give up what Twilight Making Up Part 2 should not give up. Give an epic battle that's at the end of the dream sequence. But yeah, here we go. Vampire with the vampire, baby vampire, with killing machine vampire.
Time. I honestly don't know which to be more concerned at.
This is Caleb Hansen's fault.
I really don't know which to be more concerned at. The fact that these two pitches are just absolutely crazy, or the fact that this sounds like what the Wachowskis pitched as Matrix Revolutions. Good Lord. So gloves are off. The leash. Gloves are off. Leashes are off. We're about to get a cage match in the 4-minute open debate. Let's just let this happen. Time starts when you begin.
Chris, I love that you're also killing children and babies. Let me just say one thing. Like the third Blood Rain movie, she's already having lesbian bondage sex and she's fighting Nazis. Wouldn't you think Vampires and Werewolves is a step back from fighting lesbian Nazis? I would think so.
Let me just add werewolf, vampire, werewolf, Nazi. Let's go, all of it.
Are we going to add lesbian Nazis to both movies? Because let's just do it. Whatever you want to do, I'll put them. You want Jason Statham? I'll take Jason Statham. You want lesbian Nazis in the future? I don't know. They're probably going to get killed by the Terminators, but we'll have a scene where lesbian Nazis get killed by the Terminators, and they'll have lesbian Nazi babies getting killed by the Terminators. Whatever. Uwe Boll will do it. Whatever you want.
But why not have fun? We see Vampire Ready, but
all he does is have fun, this guy.
But werewolf, we're ad. Like the mummy, let add Frankenstein, let add let me
Frankenstein. You know what? If they're Nazis, I guarantee we're working on Frankenstein. You could probably have him go into. You could have them go into a Nazi lab, right? Yeah, you can call it back. But the thing is, he already did it. He already did it. He had Blood Rain fighting Nazis, like literally, like it's a 76-minute movie. 40 minutes of it is like lesbian sex, and like 30 minutes of it is they're killing Nazis. So I don't know if you can top that with werewolves. I got to be honest. I don't think werewolves top that.
Werewolf samurai, werewolf Japanese, let's go over every single thing we added. Werewolf Viking, werewolf Egyptian, let's go over. This is like fucking time travel, right? Bill Nye and Michael Sheen trying to get every werewolf.
Right, but let me make one point. But that's going to be the end of something. That's the end of a franchise. What I'm talking about is like we're going to have like all the carnage that gives birth to the Terminator universe. Like, I think the bigger we make it, the more gross we make it, the more meaningful James Cameron's Terminator is. Like, Uwe Boll has the magic in him to make James Cameron's Terminator be even better. Like think about it. Like, Terminator 2, great movies. But if you knew that it was born out of the carnage of Uwe Boll, holy shit, that's incredible.
Hey, but you got that ready in Genesis and Salvation. Why don't again? We never got
we need that prequel. Honestly, Underworld, I guess, is a blockbuster franchise, but Terminator, like desecrating Underworld after the 15,000 movies, like Terminator still makes a ton of money. It would be so much fun to throw Uwe Boll in there. Underworld, Uwe Boll kind of feels like he's coming anyway, right? If he belongs there anyway, it's like, oh, we got a half vampire, half zombie, half werewolf. That's 3 halves, but who cares? I'm Uwe Boll, 3 halves.
But we need something more crazy, something more insane. People met Michael Sheen. People bitten behind. Do something sensical plot. Bring them back. Make them like especially. I'll
dress Michael Sheen as a baby and have a Terminator blow his head off. Like, why not? Like, it's Uwe Boll. We got unlimited budget. Dress Jason Statham as a baby. Dress Michael Sheen as a baby. Bring everybody back. Bring all people from Terminator Chronicles. I want Garrett Dillahunt. I want Summer Glau. Dress them as babies, have Terminators kill them. It'll be great fan service. We can do such great fan service. There's no more Blood Rain fan service outside of Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, but you know what we don't have? Why not take this on a dead baby idea and have a baby vampire flesh zombie and kill people? We should have them warring troops down there and mommy. Having sex and killing at the same time.
You're not concerned in the least that Uwe Boll might be a little burnt out with vampire movies at this point. He did.
No, because that would make paying the money to stay his house. Terminator originally.
There's a lot yet to be done with Terminator. We've only been told about these wars. There's been flashbacks.
Terminator Salvation already. We don't want that point.
Like letters from our fathers, Iwo Jima, like a Clint Eastwood level telling of the machine wars. Uwe Boll is like the baby's dying, of course.
Time. Oh my God. No, Chris, God has left us 2 rounds ago. Okay. All right. John, do what you do when the time starts.
Hey, we're just having fun. We're just talking about killing babies. But, if you've been on the internet ever, you know that the culmination of any argument is when you introduce Nazis. If you introduce Nazis into an argument, if you introduce Nazis into a film series, that series has to end. You cannot stop Nazis. Blood Rain 3 is about Nazis. For Uwe Boll to go back and make another vampire movie with no Nazis and then put in werewolves, Uwe Boll, I understand we're going to make him do it. He's not going to put his heart in it. He already had lesbian Nazis in the last Blood Rain movie. But we haven't given him the Terminator franchise. We haven't told him, hey, dude, the future is bleak. Humanity's been decimated. These Terminators don't give a shit. They're here to kill every human. Uwe Boll, would you like to tell the story of them killing every human? Can you imagine giving Uwe Boll the ability to tell the story of killer robots killing every human? Is there anything more beautiful?
Time. I'm going to do one quick fact check. There is something more beautiful than that. The end of this fucking round. Chris, I don't know what you were doing with your hands, but please bring this to a close. when the timer starts.
You know what missing for Vampire Nazi? Samurai, Egyptian, Viking, my future self. Let's get Hugo fucking Levy in this movie. Shout to him and Vampire. We already got Terminator with Genesis. We already got Salvation. We already got it with that freaky video game that ran out a while ago that was really boring with like robotic and all of that. We want something new. We want something, and wait until he get a hold of Kate Beckinsale, Mila Jovovich, Ben Kingsley again. Let him be a vampire fighting Michael Sheen. But again, Nazi children, Nazi like zombies, the Vikings, like vampire, werewolf, and every single monster card is more interesting than your movie. That's definitely we want all of them into one movie. It'd be the epic thing that more better than freaking Twilight Bacon's on Part 2. We get you that battle you already wanted. And Kate Beckinsale be really road over it. Having sex and kill each other, trying to kill each other at the same time. Beautiful.
Time. Oh,
Oh my god.
time. Okay, we're gonna remove our. I'm just gonna say competitors because I don't want to say apparently baby-hating competitors, but we're gonna bring in the judges. we're gonna do that. We're gonna judges and Aaron, aren't you glad you don't have to fact check any of what just happened in this round? I'm sure you are. Okay. So while all of us just mentally escape from this, Carrie, who is the victor of Schlock?
I think these were great franchises to pick, and this was a really, really fun argument. I think ultimately John had my vote because it seems like maybe the movie I would want to see more, and that I think John made a good point that if I wanted to see an Underworld movie by Uwe Boll, I could just watch all 3 Blood Rains. So I'm going to give it to John for this one.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Webb. The floor is yours.
I didn't really know what the hell was going on this entire round, but I mean, and call me crazy. I guess I guess everyone's crazy today. But I kind of was on with Chris on this one, to be honest, because and here's my reasoning is because John was selling me about like, well, Underworld, that's kind of like what Uwe Boll does already. That's what he did with Blood Rain, like Carrie was saying, that John said. But what Chris said that really sold me was leave Terminator alone. Like, bring James Cameron back or something. Like, don't mess with Terminator. To me, that was, I think, the strongest point of the round, because there was just a lot of like they were both selling this big monstrosity for their specific franchises. And for me, I'm like, well, Chris was at least saying, stay in your zone and leave Terminator alone. So that's kind of where I saw it. So, Chris.
All right, so we have a split decision here. 1 point for John, 1 point for Chris. So we rely on Richie. Richie, where was the logic in the madness of this for you?
All right. First of all, I just want to say how great are women and children. Just giving out that. Anyway, just give it up for them. Anyway, this is weird. Look, I like Chad. I was a bit lost throughout the whole thing. I didn't know what was going on. But I feel like at the very least, John sold something that was new and like that I hadn't seen. Even though, it is a more beloved franchise, I do want to see what he would do something new. So I went with John, and also, I mean, it's very presumptuous that Kate Beckinsale would actually agree to be in the Uwe Boll movie. So, but anyway, I'll go John.
All right, thank you to our wonderful judges. I'll move you to the back. with a score of 3-1. Calamity, John Maher. This was a great match from start to finish. John, let's go ahead and talk to you first. John, how do you feel right now?
I mean, it went from topics that I love to topics that not that I don't love them, but just like, why would anyone talk about that? It's like, I've never really thought, I mean, I've watched plenty of Uwe Boll movies, but I've never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be sitting here screaming at another grown man about which franchise we would let that psychopath ruin, like, worse. Like, really, like, that's it. Hey, fuck it, it's a Tuesday night. Like, that's a Tuesday night in Emmaus, Pennsylvania. I think every Tuesday night now, I'm going to just yell at somebody about Uwe Boll. I'm going to go, have you seen Seed? There's a baby dying in slow motion in Seed. Have you seen Seed? It's freaking horrible. But go ahead.
All right. Yeah, this was one match for the ages. If Aaron thought that he was going to get money off of this video, he's sort of mistaken now.
Nope. Mm-mm.
No.
Maybe you put it on Pornhub. Maybe.
Even Pornhub doesn't. Even Pornhub has standards, John. But let's go ahead and talk about the future. With your that brings your record now up to 3-0 with one knockout, and you will be now moving on to round 2 of the tournament, and you'll be taking on let's check the notes here. Some dumbass named Will Cohen.
That guy is a dumbass. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. No, but I know I've already, Aaron and I have been talking, and we've been bouncing some ideas around of some topics, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with what I've chosen.
Okay, hopefully, based on Aaron's and my discussion, you're pleasantly surprised as well, or maybe completely mortified. But
Are we going to talk to the Chipmunks? Because that'd be great.
It honestly can't be any worse than what we discussed here tonight.
I don't know if they ask another question, like, this like basically torture porn director. What do you want him to do? We might do the same. We might go around that merry-go-round again. Will, we don't know.
And it would be you and me doing it, which kind of feels like our Tuesday night after all.
Yeah, that's a Tuesday night. We got to book it on a Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
put the kids to bed and then talk about killing kids. That's a Tuesday night.
There we go. Well, I'm going to drop you on the back. Great job tonight, John, on your victory. Congratulations. And we're going to bring on our unfortunate loser tonight, for lack of a better term, Chris. Chris, how do you feel after the ringer that this was?
I feel good. I had fun with this, and John was a opponent I really wanted to face and had fun with. I knew we would both get into yelling match. It's nice to have a but yeah, the question was just some really disturbing question which I never had to answer again. I mean, I don't know what we were arguing against Nicolas Cage in a religion movie or Uwe Boll.
Those are yeah, I don't think anyone starts out their night thinking that they have to do that, but I do congratulate you on doing that. But I do want to also congratulate you on doing the unthinkable and getting a point off of John on a horror topic, which a lot of people on paper would never have guessed would have happened, but you managed to do it. So I want to congratulate you on doing, on just doing pretty much the unthinkable there. Now this does bring your record to 2-4, 2 wins and 4 losses with one knockout. So unfortunately, this will bring, this will be your final matchup of this season. First of all, do you plan on coming back for next season? And if you do, who are you looking forward to playing?
Yes, I will be coming back. I kind of piss off at the one who dropped out. Caleb, I didn't want after Uwe Boll any revenge on you. maybe I finally get my win here. Kind of take you down a little bit notch. And don't, swear to God, no Dewey Ball question, because I cannot. I didn't even know who the director was before, but I now regret knowing who the director is. And then either that, the match originally was supposed to play. I would love to play Kevin actually get that match actually to happen. Because I felt bad I never got to face him, but he'd have fun, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Chris, thank you again for a very entertaining match.
Yeah.
And we will definitely look forward to seeing you next season.
Mm-hmm. Now,
go ahead. What was your parody
now I
thought there?
can now go back to watching good movie instead of bad movie.
Good luck with that, my man. All right. Well, that is our match. A couple big upcoming matches here. We do want to have you tune back in later this month to check out, obviously, the second round of the tournament on Saturday the 19th and Sunday the 20th. We'll get Chad Webb versus Jay Burns and Austin Howell versus Alan Shepard. And the following weekend, you'll get Joe Farrelly versus Noah McCausland, and me, Will Cohen, versus the winner of this match, Mr. Calamity, John Maher. Obviously, if this is your first time, this is a very weird jumping on point for you. But even still, if you have made it to this far in the video, please like, share, and subscribe these videos. That really helps us get the word out of this. And if you went absolutely batshit crazy from listening to those questions, hey, share the video with your friends and send them down the same rabbit hole that you just went down. As always, I am the virtuoso Will Cohen. Saying thank you on behalf of our fearless leader Aaron Knoll, on behalf of our great winner John Maher, of our great competitor Chris Diaz. Thank you so much to Chad Webb, to Carrie Webb, and Richie Goodacre. Thank you, and good night.